The third thing is you're looking for a property management company that specializes in your asset niche, and that's what they do. So you don't buy a C property and go hire a management company that really focuses on A-plus luxury assets, right? They are not going to know how to run your C property.
Welcome. You're listening to the Apartment Investing Show. This is where you'll learn how to start or scale your apartment investing career. Your host, Adam Adams, has never lost an eating contest. He once ate 16 hamburgers in a single sitting. Adam and his guests will show you how to create residual income by investing in apartment communities. Now, here's your host, Adam AAA Adams.
All right, so I am with Mr. Andrew Cushman. I'm excited. So we are actually recording one of the first episodes. Andrew, you are a star because I only have stars be one of my very first episodes. You're a star because you're going to be one of my very first episodes on the Apartment Investing Show. So for the listener, if they want to learn more about the show that has not yet aired, it's called the Apartment Investing Show, and you can find out more at the apartmentinvestingshow.com. All right, Andrew, I'm excited to have you. So what we're going to be talking about is there's a lot of people that talk about the acquisitions of a deal. There's a lot of people that talk about how to talk to brokers, how to find more deals, how to write the best letters. There's others that talk about how to raise more money, how to attract more capital, how to get your name out, how to start a podcast. And these are all important. I think these are all good to have a full, well-rounded business. But if we miss this part, we will lose money. And so I've got Andrew Cushman on the podcast who has managed, his team has managed approximately $137 million AUM. That's multifamily. Over the last 9 years, they've been managing lots of properties. Now, here's a quick tip, a quick suggestion, or what we're going to kind of go into, a quick sneak peek. That's what I want, is a sneak peek into what we're going to be talking about on this episode. And here's what it is. There's some people that swear by third-party management. Hey, you're growing your business. You have to have third-party management. Get that out of your control so that you can manage these properties easier while you're still looking for acquisitions and raising money. It's too much to do it all. And there's others that are very adamant about, hey, don't outsource any of this. You have to control it all. It's going to be fun because with the $137 million of assets under management that Andrew and his team over the last 9 years have done, they've started to recognize this new approach, the hybrid approach. And so we're going to get into this hybrid approach. We're going to share with you how you can utilize it in your business. And I'm going to give it over to Andrew to give us the background as it relates to asset management. And then I'll start asking you some questions. I'm excited. Tell us more about that approach. How is it a hybrid? What are you focusing on? What are the high-level pieces that you do a little bit differently in your new hybrid approach? And how can the listener, when they're working on their own assets, take this and run with it so that they can have that approach as well and make lots of money?
All right, sounds good. Well, I appreciate having me on, Adam. I'm honored to be one of the first guests. So, one of the arguments that you hear for why you should self-manage is, no one cares about your asset more than you do. And that's probably true, but caring does not equal competence, right? So, I mean, if your significant other got diagnosed with a benign brain tumor and the doctor's like, hey, good news, it's benign, but we still have to do surgery to take it out. You're not going to go to the operating room, put your hand on the doctor's shoulder and say, hey, you know what? I care about this person more than you. I got this, right? No, you're not going to do it because you don't have the competency. And so when we looked at, okay, we self-managed and then, okay, we brought in third party, we said, well, what are the competencies here? And we said, well, if with third party, the competency is they've got a long history of experience in this market. Well, that's one competency that they have over us. Another competency they have over us is they already have systems in place for accounting and invoice management and application management and all of those systems that a good property management company is going to have developed. The third thing that they already had in place was they had a construction, they didn't have a construction arm, but they had construction managers, and they had long-standing relationships with vendors and contractors and could get pricing leverage that we couldn't get because we own 500 or 1,000 units, which that feels big to us, but it's not when you can bring in a property management company that can leverage 25,000 units and get much better pricing. And then also, we didn't want to be employers. We don't want to deal with W-2s and government reporting and all. So those are 4 things that we said, okay, that's a third-party management's competency. What is our competency? Our competency is, number 1, we have a vision for the property, right? We bought it for a reason. We bought it with an end in mind. We bought it with a plan. And no one is going to understand that plan and communicate that plan better than us. And it is our job to manage the managers and provide the vision to make sure it gets fulfilled. So that's a competency that we have over just a straight up third party management company. And the second one that we have is in-depth relationships, and it kind of brings that that truth to the argument of, yeah, we do care about it more than any third party would, right? Because it's our livelihoods are on the line, our investors are in it, it's our reputation at stake. So what we did is we said, all right, we want to focus on acquisitions and growing and providing, great deals and great returns. We don't want to spend all of our time figuring out how do you do Yardi and how do you file W-2s and all that. So we brought in a property management company, third party, to do that. They do all of that stuff, that admin, the headache of running a property day to day. But we don't just hand everything over to them. So for one thing that we do is every week we have a weekly conference call where it's myself, it's our 2 asset managers, or actually we split it up now because we have enough property. So it's myself, one of our 2 asset managers is on the line, the property manager is on the line, the maintenance staff is there, and the regional property manager. So we have the entire team once a week getting together so that, number 1, we can get their feedback and their input. So when it's really easy for a property management company or person to polish up the information and just give it to you in a report in a way that they want you to see it. Or it's also pretty easy for them to, coach someone. Hey, when you talk to Adam, just don't say this or don't say that. When you've got 6 people on a conference call, if you ask the right questions, you're going to get the truth, right? There's no coaching all those people to get them on the same page in advance. So you will quickly get to the truth, and that's what you need to run a property. And so we do that every week. We're actually moving some of those to Zoom calls, so now it's face to face. Which sometimes we got to bring some of those folks up to level on the tech, but once they get there, they really enjoy it, and so that and then we really communicate so that even our maintenance people know, hey, here's the financial goals, because they have a huge piece in that. Here's our leasing and occupancy goals, because everyone forgets the maintenance guy. Yeah, the leasing is important, but when it comes to resident retention, who do the residents see? The maintenance person, right? The maintenance person is coming into their unit and fixing things. Well, did they do a good job? Did they have to call them back 3 times to fix it over and over again? So we want to make sure the maintenance people are part of the vision and the team. And again, no one's going to communicate better than us. And so if you were to go to our properties and ask the maintenance supervisor or the property manager, who do you work for? They're going to say, oh, I work for Andrew. Well, wait, aren't you part of this management company? Well, yeah, they do the paperwork and technically I report to them, but I work for Andrew. So that's kind of the hybrid that we use. And you could either see it as a hybrid or just maybe intense, in-depth asset management. But that's what we've tried to do, is say, here's our couple strengths, here's their couple strengths, let's do this together. So
I'm making some good notes. If you ask the maintenance people or the property managers who they work for, they will say Andrew.
Right. And a clear distinction, though, is they do not call me. Now, they all have my cell phone number, but I almost never hear from them, because they know if it's a matter of, oh, geez, what do we do with Betty Sue in Unit 104G who hasn't paid her rent in 2 months? Should we file? Like that, all that day-to-day admin, that goes through the management company and their hierarchy. They have systems for that. They have rules for that. They don't call Andrew for day-to-day stuff. If they feel like they're not being heard or listened to, or there's some kind of obstacle that making it so they can't do their job, that's when they might call me. And then even that is exceptionally rare, because we usually get that out on the calls. And I tell them, My job is to make it as easy as possible for you to do your job effectively. And if there's ever something that's holding you back, let me know. And if it's within my power, we'll get it taken care of. And also, I give them a ton of authority to try, and I let them know that we will try almost anything once. I'll give you an example. We had a property destroyed by a hurricane, so we had to completely redo it, studs out, and that included, of course, repainting. And the manager just decided one day, you know what, this other color is going to look better on the end caps, and she just had it painted. Just one in the back of the property, and then she sent me a picture. She's like, what do you think? I'm like, it looks great. She actually got in trouble with the property management company for doing that at first, but we cleared it. I said, no, you know what, I trust her. She's that high level of a person. She has that authority, and she made a great call. And you know what, if she didn't, we'll paint it over. Right. So that's we try to have a really good relationship with really high quality people, give them autonomy, give them responsibility. And then when they prove themselves, we also overpay them so that they get financially rewarded for helping us make money. So,
Andrew, what parts of the pro forma, because within asset management, having a plan, a goal, you talked about it being called a vision. Nobody is going to implement our vision the way that we would implement our vision. We care about it, and we can eloquently express it to other people. So what parts of that vision, and I think what I mean by that is specific to asset management plans, like raising rents, repainting that color, dog parks, kids parks, security cameras, etc. What are the big pieces that really move the business forward for you and your partners with the 137 million that you've closed on, you've managed over the last 9 years, that you can translate to the listener who wants to know, I guess, where the real juice is? Where's the jet fuel that's really going to make us the most amount of money when we're finding a new deal and wanting to implement a plan or a vision?
First thing is, lay that vision out with all of your staff at acquisition. And so what that means for us is we sit down on site with, again, everybody, the regional manager, the property manager, the maintenance people, everybody. And we go over what the vision is. We let them know, at least for us, hey, this is not a quick flip. You're not going to be out of it. If you do a great job, you don't have to worry about your job in a year or 2 years or whatever. We're typically looking to hold for 5 to 10 years. And so we lay that vision out. We tell them, like, look, this is a 8-year hold. And over the next 2 years, we want to renovate all of the units, and the plan is to install, these countertops, these appliances, increase rents $115 based on these comparables. We want to try to appeal to these type of tenants. And when it comes to adding amenities, I mean, we kind of have our, I would say, menu that we've developed over time. Dog parks, playgrounds, all those, the normal things that you would typically hear. But part of our due diligence process is we interview the current staff and the current residents, and we like to ask the question: if there was 1 or 2 things you could change about this property or add to this property, what would it be? And we try to kind of collate those answers, and that helps us determine the direction we should take the property. So sometimes it might be a soccer field. Bark parks are exceptionally popular, and you can get them put in for a couple of grand. That's a very high value amenity. Grilling stations and gazebos, laundry facilities, fitness centers. Sometimes just simple things like adding vending, or like, for example, properties where we've bought properties where the units have washer dryer connections, but there's just a laundry room on site and no one actually has the appliances. And so when we asked everybody, I wish I had a washer dryer. So we went ahead and bought a bunch of sets, and then we just say, hey, when you move in, you can bring your own, you can lease these from us for $50 a month, or go to the laundry center, right? People love I'll lease them. Well, so that pays for itself in 10 months. And so that's part of the kind of, again, the asset management. We don't just come in and say, and just dictate, okay, this is what we're going to do based on our no, we involve the staff and the residents and get their feedback up front. Number one, it helps us tailor what we're going to do to that property in that market, but then also we get more buy-in from the other people on our team and the residents when it's like, oh, hey, I requested that and here it is. Cool. Same thing with even when we rebrand the property, we will go through, we like logo tournament, but there's another like 99 designs. There's a handful of places where you can get all these great logos for inexpensive cost. So we narrow it down to like our top 3 or 5. And then we put out a flyer and let the residents vote. Right. And there's been times where we've been completely surprised, like, wow, the residents see this property and they see this community differently than we did. We would have gone a different direction. And so rather than just stick our brand on it that we thought would have worked, we want to appeal to that community. And so we've changed course slightly based on that feedback. And so that's kind of, again, that's the hybrid. That's not just saying, okay, here's our branding third-party management company, go do it. It's, well, okay, here's our initial ideas. You come in and work with us to figure out which one is the best, so that as much, we don't manage by consensus. The disagreement is welcome, but we do try to get to a point where at least even if someone doesn't agree, they at least got a chance to voice their thoughts and opinions. And most people, even if they don't agree, if they at least feel like they were heard, they'll buy into the final decision. So we try to approach almost everything that way.
That's huge. I mean, that I think is worth millions of dollars to anyone listening, honestly. It's obviously been worth millions of dollars to you and your team.
It's been worth millions to us.
Yeah. And it's the thing is that I see a lot of people not doing. They always come up with these ideas that they want. Adam Adams wants blah, blah, blah to happen. Andrew wants blah, blah, blah to happen. And we are forgetting to ask our customer. We're forgetting to spend the time to do the due diligence up front to understand, what do you want? You're the one who's going to be buying this. You're the one who's going to be living here. You're the one who's going to be using our services. You're the one who has all the experience with what you're going through. Some of us neglect or forget to ask our customer what they're looking for. And so you said at the beginning of all of your properties, you hop in there and you, as part of your due diligence, you literally just ask and interview the staff and the tenants and say, what is if we just change one thing, what would we change? What would it be? You're basically asking your clients to tell you what they need. You're playing to the player. You're customizing the offer to the tenants. And you said you wanted to appeal to that community, which has 2 meanings. Number one, you think of your apartments as communities, which I love and respect. Other people think of their apartments as a building. You think of your apartments as a community. And number two, you understand that as a community, they're living, they're breathing, they're different organisms. This apartment on this side of town wants a completely different thing than that apartment on that side of town. Mm-hmm. 1 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms. Do they have kids? Do they not have kids? Are most of the people that live there, are they working at this place, or are they working at that place, or do they have dogs, or do they not have dogs? Do they need laundry? And you spend the time during due diligence to ask them. And it sounds so simple, but like I said before, like, it's obviously worth millions to you and your business, and I think it's worth millions to anybody listening who's willing to implement just that extra due diligence, where you're speaking with all of the staff and the residents prior to purchasing. Sounds like a lot of extra work, but when you do it, you're able to give them a dog park and make them happy and keep them at your apartment community, staying there, living there, paying rent continuously. And, when you have rent bumps, they're happy to pay it because you listen, you care. If your resident said, I need security, not home security, apartment security. I need security cameras. I need a security gate. We don't feel safe. If you change anything, it would be somehow to make me feel safe. you're like, well, boom, that's what we need to do. That's the main thing, because our residents are telling us that, and you're not just wasting your time buying security cameras for no reason, etc. I think that's brilliant. A huge takeaway. Huge takeaway. What other things does the listener need in order to crush it with your hybrid method of managing the managers and making more money with their apartment communities?
So if you're looking for a good property manager, the first place to start is get referrals. So talk to brokers and say, hey, if you were going to hire someone to manage this property for you, who are the top 2 or 3 people or companies you would bring in to hire? Ask that question for all your broker contacts in that market. Ask that same question of lenders, right? The lenders get to see the results of property management day in and day out. Ask that from your insurance people. Get a list of referrals. Get that list as long as you can. The next step is to go research those folks online, and you'll get an idea of kind of their presence, how they do things. Look at the reviews for properties they manage. And keep in mind, take that with a grain of salt, because usually it's only the grumpy people who are, or the person who didn't pay rent, and so they're mad, and so they're posting because the property's demanding they actually pay. So keep that in mind. Take it with a grain of salt. But you can get a sense, like if you look at one company and every property they manage has crappy pictures and 1-star reviews, and then another company and most of their properties have 3 and 4-star reviews, and the complaints are minor or something. Oh yeah, the guy next door, he's loud on Saturday nights. If that's the worst thing you're finding, then that's probably a decent sign. And then so take that and narrow it down to a smaller list, and then do phone interviews and build a list of questions. And it's important to say, okay, do you guys use Yardi or whatever. That's not what makes a great property manager. What makes a great property manager is you want to interview for someone who's going to see you as a partner, for someone who's going to be okay with a more interactive, hands-on asset management approach. And because some management companies can't quite handle that, and it's up to you to communicate, hey, I'm not here to get in your way or to do your job or to throw, or to break the line of report or anything like that. I'm here to empower you and be a partner. So it's up to you to communicate that well. But you're less interviewing for admin skills and more interviewing for attitude. You want someone who, again, like I said, can see you as a partner, who is happy to have you be involved. Again, and you make clear that you're there to provide vision, not get not hold up day-to-day activities. You're looking for that kind of property management company. And the third thing is you're looking for a property management company that specializes in your asset niche, and that's what they do. So you don't buy a C property and go hire a management company that really focuses on A+ luxury assets, right? They are not going to know how to run your C property. And vice versa. You don't take a C-class manager and put them in a high-rise in downtown. That's not going to work either. So you want to find a property management company that specializes in, if you're buying B-class multifamily 100 to 200 units, you want to find a management company. Well, that is their core portfolio.
That is awesome. I couldn't agree more. I want to dive into the final 5 questions, but first a quick word from our sponsor.
Let's do it.
This episode was made possible by Adam's Inner Circle program. This exclusive group is a collection of industry leaders, influencers, passive investors, and strong operators. This is the type of community you want to join, where we come together multiple times each month, virtually and in person. We support each other, invest with each other, and even interview each other on our podcasts and invite each other to speak at our live events. If you're ready to take your real estate investing to the next level, this is the group for you. Fill out an application today by following the link in the show notes.
And we're back with Mr. Andrew Cushman. And the final 5 questions for the apartment investing show, Andrew. The first one is a book that you recommend to the listener.
Well, let's see. If you're looking to get into apartments, it's 2 books. So I know you said 1, but see it as 2 halves of 1 cookie, all right? Okay. Dave Lindahl's Emerging Markets and Multifamily Millions. Those 2 go together. they've been around for like at least 15 years, but they're just a right mix of tactical and theory, and it just gives you a really good overview and place to start.
Awesome. Thank you. And what is your biggest win of the week? Biggest win of the week.
I finally beat my 6-year-old at chutes and ladders.
Oh, right.
No,
it's not hard. It is not easy to do that because those shoots keep coming and you keep like, oh my gosh. It's a frustrating game.
It's pure luck, but I don't know how he wins so consistently. So no, we actually, it's funny. We've slowed down acquisitions because of the current environment and the uncertainty. We're still looking at deals, just not quite as many as in the past. So we've had some more time to catch up on some things I've been wanting to do. So actually, we did a soft launch of our multifamily mastermind last week, and the response was way beyond what we thought. So that was definitely a win and exciting, and I'm looking forward to interacting with people. So
awesome. Question 3, what is a challenge that you've recently overcome, and it has to be within your multifamily business?
I say it can't be beaten chutes and ladders again.
No.
So it was, I would say I'm proud of how we handled the shift with COVID-19. We took our 2 asset managers, we took our 2 acquisitions managers and said, you are now asset managers. That is your number one job. And we sent them to our property managers and said, look, these 2 people are your additional resources. And instead of saying the managers were kind of, they don't know how to handle this. No one's been through this in the last 100 years, right? So what we did is we did things like we put together flyers and said it's for them to just hand out to the residents. Okay, here's how if you have a business, here's how you get PPP, here's how you get EIDL, here's how you get unemployment in your state, here's local charities and organizations that can help you with rent. Here's a list of all the companies that are hiring in the area, right? Which is like Amazon and Walgreens, all these. And so we shifted gears and really came alongside our property managers to assist them with assisting our residents. We got a lot of good feedback for that and from that, and it seemed to really help the properties. And so far it's actually been doing quite well. Yeah,
that is all really good. Question 4. All right, question 4 and 5 they have some similarities. 4 is, what is the one thing that you would have a listener who's completely brand new, what's the advice that you would give them to be able to get into multifamily? And question number 5, very similar. What's the one thing that you would give to an experienced listener to take it to the next level?
So for the beginner, I would say decide and commit, right? It's really easy to get shiny object syndrome and be like, I'm going to look in St. Louis and San Jose and Atlanta, and this is a cool 10 unit and this is a cool 100 unit. Narrow it down. Say, I'm going to look for 30 to 50 unit properties in Atlanta, or I'm going to look for 100 unit properties in Phoenix. Decide and then commit to doing that. And commit to doing that means whatever, whether it's education, whether it's finding partners, finding money, whatever that commit means, it's, decide and commit to doing it. For the more experienced person, this is one thing that if I look back, I wish I would have done sooner. There's a lot of people, if you could, tell yourself 10 years ago, the person who's already gotten started and wants to grow more and wants to scale, focus on adding people and systems. Because you will quickly get to a point where you're tapped out. Like no matter how good you are, you can only do so much and do it well. And so I found the real key is adding people. So typically the first person you want to add is an admin assistant, right? To come in and just help with some of the admin. And then it could be someone to help analyze deals. Or it could be someone, let's say you're investing at a distance. Maybe it's someone who lives in that market and they can look at properties for you and do site visits and due diligence, all that. So just kind of think of, okay, what can I offload and hire somebody else to do so that I can have more time to do the higher value stuff and scale the business?
Good stuff. There was a question that came in on the live through a live listener that asked if you like to either purchase these laundry outright and then rent them out, or if you or if you like to rent them and rent them out. Have you seen the difference? Have you known the difference? Have you tried either or both?
Yeah, we've looked at both. We've tried both. The rent model is typically, you rent them from a company for $30 or $40 a month. You add $10 to that, and then you lease it to the resident. So it's kind of a margin play, right? You're getting an extra $10 or $15 or $20 a month, and then the benefit of that is you're not responsible for the maintenance. We've settled on actually buying them because what we found is they pay off in about a year's time. And so even if that washer dryer set only lasts for, we've had sets last for 10 years, but even if it only lasts 2 years or 3 years, it's paid for itself in double. And then more importantly, the net operating income generated by those machines gets applied to the value of your property. And so if you take, an extra $600 a year per unit and you throw a 5 cap on that times 100 units, you just created a whole lot of equity by buying those units. So we've decided on just buying them.
Yeah, that's really cool because they are paid off so fast. You said 10, maybe 12 months max.
Anywhere from 10 to 14 months, depending on the market. Yep.
And so now you own them. And if you're talking about a cap rate in a decent area, let's just say 6 or 5 cap, if even $10 a month, that spread would be beneficial. But if you had a way to get the whole 50 on your cap rate for your NOI, that's huge. That's 5 times bigger difference for your NOI. So like if you, for instance, were making an extra, let's just say $15K a year versus $70K a year. Now all of a sudden divide that by a 5 cap or a 6 cap, and you've increased by $500,000 or so dollars just by purchasing them outright versus renting them and then taking the small arbitrage. So that good feedback. Thank you for going into that. Andrew, what is the best way for the listener to find you and get a hold of you?
Just probably Google Vantage Point Acquisitions. The website is vpacq.com. There's a couple of tabs on there where you can reach out to us. This comes in my inbox, and that's the best way to actually start a conversation. Of course, I'm on BiggerPockets and LinkedIn. We can connect there, but to really have a connection or conversation, just reach out via the website. And
just to super clarify, it's vpacq.com. That's in the show notes right now, so you don't even have to Google it. You can Google it, or you can scroll down, click on VPACQ. I hope I'm saying it right. I know I wrote it down right. It's in the show notes. Andrew, thanks for coming on. I'm going to let you go, but until next time, my friend,
take care.
Think outside the box. As a reminder, any investment opportunities mentioned on this show are for accredited investors only, and if you're interested in working with me and my team, then go to realbluespruce.com and click Get on the List. It's that simple. Just click Get on the List to start passively investing. This has been an episode of the Apartment Investing Show with me, Adam Adams. All rights are reserved, and if you haven't done so already, then make sure that you absolutely smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next episode.